It's okay. My turn.
Period issue. Okay. Go do your thing and then
you start. I've already started.
You did? Okay.
There's no one there yet.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Makes me feel better. Okay, Caitlin's there.
Still on one?
Caitlin.
So she can hear and see us now?
She can? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Girl, I'm sorry. No, she's in the waiting room.
Yeah, but they can't.
Are you sure?
They told us, like, yeah, we could hear you.
Caitlin, if you can hear me, I want proof. I want to hear. I'm saying that you are a sexy Latin lover. Type to me what I just said.
That ain't no lie.
Ain't no lie. Bye bye. Oh, you just made me quote NSYNC. That is illegal as a Backstreet Boys fan.
Oh, I remember in DC, in Baltimore, you were pulling up.
Shh, we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
I danced full on. Oh my gosh.
The Backstreet Boys would turn around in their grave.
If any of them were dead.
Exactly.
P.S. I'll never forget how hard Brian laughed, but also was kind of amazed. Like he was like, were you amazed?
Baby, I was amazed.
Hey, I just told Caitlin today that that's our wedding song, and she's a huge country music fan. So she goes, "Of course I know that song." So, Caitlin, double bonus. If you really can hear us, then please.
Every time her eyes meet, this feeling in the side of me
is almost more than I can take. Almost more. Come on, keep going. Baby, when you touch me, I can feel how much you love me, and it just blows me away. Every day. Come on. I've never been this close to anyone or anything. I can feel your thoughts. I can hear your dreams, right? Come on, baby, sing it. No, I don't know how you do what you're what? Oh, we gotta sing along. Come on, girl. I want to spend we do a rewrite. We go, I want to spend the rest of my life. And then what's your rewrite?
You as my wife.
With you as
cute.
Right? Forever. And I think actually for the longest time he thought that was the lyric, and I didn't have the heart to correct him. I'm like, maybe you wanted to be corrected.
Okay.
I know. Look at it's cozy. It's just us and Kate right now.
Guten Abend.
Guten Abend.
Abend, Fraulein. Wie geht's?
I don't know anything in Dutch. Sorry. Dankjewel.
Oh, that is Dutch though, or it's so close to German that it's the same. Thank you. How do you say that in German? Danke.
Danke.
No, in German it's danke.
Danke.
Yeah.
Dankjewel. I think I know because my bosses
Your
are
bosses, right?
Or you
Oh,
say
they're
vielen Dank.
Vielen Dank. Is that
vielen Dank
what?
is
Is that
like
true?
many thanks. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It can mean many, depending on what you want it to mean, right?
Danke schön, darling.
You know, Caitlin was telling me the other day that she's spoken three languages.
Phantoms.
Oh my gosh, I want to be where they're at. Look at how gorgeous this looks. Is this your backyard, y'all?
Yeah, most
backyard and
Justin, I love you had to look like I think it is. I don't know.
No, most of the yard's back that way, so
Yeah.
side yard there.
I don't know if Caitlin can understand this. I think she can living where she's at, but in Europe, so many of the houses, because there's such small space, there's almost not existent like detached housing. Like there's even a word, detached housing.
There is, though.
Okay. Well, here in Belgium, there's not a lot of room, so it's amazing to just see like the space. Like, do you guys have a neighbor behind y'all, or is that how much space you guys have to like your neighbor's way over there?
That's all the way across the street. So that's our side yard.
That's beautiful, guys. Oh, I see. Thank you. Is that, whoa, what is that?
Trampoline.
Awesome. Is that a barbecue?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
good old American
right.
space.
Totally.
Definitely a cultural thing. I'm like, this is normal.
Yeah, this is just us.
Maybe not so
what we're
much,
used
though.
to.
Okay, so instead of us coming to Europe, you come here.
No, we just trade up.
Deal.
Don't threaten him with a good time. He would be there in like 2.8 seconds. Let's do it. Just so you guys know, so Kim and I are trying to make a trip to Florida this summer. I know Caitlin knows about that. And he keeps asking me, he's like, so how far is Kentucky from Florida? And I'm like, well,
12
I
hours.
mean, we could
Depends on what part
drive.
of Florida.
What'd you say?
Depends on what part of Florida.
Tampa Bay,
That area.
which is quite a while.
I didn't hear him.
Tampa area.
Tampa. Yeah, 12 to 14 hours, depending on
I
kids.
was right. Yeah.
Spot on.
I said about 12, which is really cool, I think, for Americans to know that for us distance is like from where we live to Rome. Like Italy, excuse me.
Well, let's go to Rome.
Exactly, guys. All you gotta do is just fly here for like 10 hours first, and then we'll get you the rest.
So you trying to go to Disney or something?
Well, it's funny you asked that. So long story short, my parents live in Tampa area. But a fun fact you guys I don't think know about me is I used to work for Disney, Justin, there in Orlando.
Okay, which princess?
Oh, excuse me. You would assume that, right? But like Angela, I had quite a health journey. When I worked there, let's just say I wouldn't have been fitting in any princess costume, like maybe Winnie the Pooh. But yeah, I went to high school in Orlando as well, and then I worked for Disney through high school and college, and worked there for a little bit after college too. So,
Okay.
yeah. Have you ever brought any of your girls down there?
Mm-hmm.
We both have separate at separate times.
Oh, how funny, but never all together yet.
Not yet, no. My parents have a timeshare down in, I always say it wrong. Is it Kissimmee?
Hey, you said it perfect.
Right there. Yep. So
I'm impressed. Yeah,
they have a timeshare. So we'll go down there every 4 or 5 years, but we haven't had a chance to go yet.
I could see you guys being one of those families that have all the like matching shirts just to like make sure you could spot everybody. Like,
Yeah.
I loved it when I worked there. It was so cute to see because you'd see like family reunions and people would have their own self-made shirts, or everybody would be wearing the same shirt. And
Like on the back, like Fenton 1 through 8.
yeah, Fenton 1, Fenton 2.
Caitlin, have you ever been?
Red Church, yeah.
Yep.
I went to Disneyland, I think when I was 6 or 7.
Cali or what?
But I don't remember
California,
that much. Yeah, California. I don't remember that much. And then Disney World, I went there right before my 13th birthday. Which I think was a coincidence. It wasn't for my birthday. But, yeah, that was really fun. I remember the Epcot Center. I remember
Big
being
golf
very
ball.
yes. And I don't remember actually that many details, but my sister says I have a bad memory, so compared to her.
You blocked it out.
Maybe. I just remember being like, I think it was like one of the only big vacations. It must have been like our first vacation as like a newly blended family on my mom's side.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so my stepbrother, he was only there in the summers, and we went, and it was fun, but it was like my mom's style of vacationing is very different than like everyone else's. My
Okay.
mom's style is like cram as much into a day as physically possible. And I just remember like everyone being like,
chill
this is not fun anymore. Like, but
I think you could relate to that.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm kind
Been
of like
there.
that though now.
Unscheduled, unorganized time is good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, being someone who used to work at Disney, I always would tell families like there's 4 major parks. To really enjoy it all, you need at least a week. Because when you first go
So
to
big.
one of the parks, even if you spend one day, I think you're just overwhelmed. You're like, holy
Yeah.
crap, what do I do?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like giving those other days you can go back, or then a day at the pool. Like that's
Yeah.
what you need a break, because it's so much walking. And if you go there during the summer, Florida can be so hot. So if y'all want to plan a family vacation to anywhere in Florida, just let me know, because I've got people in different parts and all that. I went to college in Southern Florida. Been to the Keys, been to Jacksonville. It's good. And my parents, so when I moved to Belgium, my parents, long story short, had moved to California basically to be by me, because my dad worked for SeaWorld Orlando, so he was able to transfer to SeaWorld San Diego. So when I moved to Europe, they were like, well, we love California, but now no one's here and it is expensive, so we're gonna go back. So they went back to Florida. And my dad retired from SeaWorld, but they love the ocean so much, because in California they lived really close to the ocean. So instead of going back to Orlando, my dad retired, and now they're in Venice. I don't know if you guys, Venice Beach, California
Sarasota.
is very famous, but it's kind of Sarasota, Tampa area.
County. Sarasota County.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how are we all doing?
anyways.
You're making me want to go on my vacation already. Yeah.
Right? Maybe that wouldn't be such a bad idea, huh?
You have to talk about Angela when you're going to be there, because she might be going down that way a little bit.
Okay. Well, we definitely will. How fun would that be because we're hoping
That would
to
be
go
awesome.
see, we're planning to go see Caitlin and Luis in August. Because they're only about 4 hours away. No, sorry, further. 8 hours? My bad.
8 hours of driving. But yeah, anyways.
But you're going to be doing the driving.
Yes,
No,
ma'am.
so we're going to hopefully go see them. And then, we'll let you guys know, because we're planning to be in Florida hopefully at the end of July, beginning of August kind of thing. So.
Okay.
Awesome.
This is almost all Autobahn though. So
Y'all heard the Autobahn, right? Like, do you know,
Autobahn.
that is legit. Like, literally, there's like no speed limit,
correct.
right?
But only in Germany.
Only in
The
Germany.
limit is your car. That's what I heard.
Absolutely.
That's so
Unless you
true.
have a
Preferably-
fast car and a very strong heart, I would say stay in
The
the
right
slow
lane.
On the right.
I'm
time.
thinking rental Ferrari in Italy would be lots of fun.
That would
That's
be
got to
awesome.
be on the bucket list, right?
It is, yeah.
I could just picture us in like a station wagon on the Autobahn.
But I have to warn you, in Austria, there is a speed limit, and they're very sneaky with their cameras and sending speeding tickets.
Oh, so you don't realize you're
Beware.
getting one until you get it in the mail, huh?
Yeah.
Oh no.
That sucks.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. Oh, well, what a week, guys. I know we all had a really great, I think, step parenting class. It was really special to see everyone. I know, except Justin, you weren't able to be there, but don't worry, we talked about you lots. All good. Mostly good.
Well, I didn't get to see it this time because I couldn't find the recording this morning, but I'm always a topic of discussion.
Say it to where she can hear you.
Oh,
Catch up. Oh,
They were
speaking of
frozen.
catch.
yeah,
can
you
you
got a little frozen there.
You
Okay.
didn't share the recording yet?
Not the recording. I just uploaded
Okay.
it. So the recording just got uploaded to YouTube, and I will post that tonight in the group once we're done chatting here. But it was quite a week. It was one of the first weeks, I think, the only week that we've actually kind of all chatted afterwards. Because I think everybody had a lot to say, and Meryl and Yev were there, which that was the first live class they were able to be at. So I think that was really special. And it definitely instigated some further conversation. I know between the women for sure, and our little WhatsApp group there. And Justin, what's the status, my man, with your WhatsApp? Have you downloaded it yet, or what's going on?
I haven't even fully said, hey, download this. So
okay. Well, here.
Oh, we're doing WhatsApp. That's when you said you could use in European messaging and stuff.
Yes. I told him about it, but
I heard about it. I didn't know that was.
You're trying to get a guys group. We have a group.
Yes, specifically a rad.
Now that makes more sense why you mentioned it, because I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we wanted you guys to at least have a place where, I know it might sound weird, like guys talking to each other, group text, but it can be whatever you guys want. Like, I know, Kim, you already sent some fun stuff, or like a simple, funny thing in there or whatever. But yeah, we just want a place where you guys can chat too, where it's not like all your women talking for you, or it's not us like putting in our 2 cents. It might be nice just to have like a spot where you guys can bro it out and talk like guys. Like, you guys all have something in common that we necessarily don't. So we wanted to give you guys that private space, your man cave, basically. And just think, then you can talk to all your cool European friends for free. It's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. There we go. So we know that there's so much that we can talk about tonight, and we know that there was a lot we felt like at the end of Wednesday night's call that we kind of had to cut short because there was so much going on. And I see Caitlin's got her notes, so be prepared. No, I love it.
It was getting kind of late.
Yeah.
This part of the world too. So
yeah.
We had to cut it short, unfortunately.
Yes. But there were some things we know at the end that I think everyone gave some feedback on. Some topics we kept hearing about was things like boundaries. What are they? How do we do them? Angela, you had I think a very great question about just parallel parenting versus co-parenting. And I think this week we kind of went on a little bit of a journey with you guys with that. And so we'd love to, of course, talk more about that this week too. And yeah, so I don't know if we want to start there, like, even if Angela and Justin, if you guys want to talk about, I know that D'Angela, on the call on Wednesday, you were curious about like kind of what is parallel parenting, how do you do it? And then we posted some videos in the group, and I'd love to hear a little bit of like your feedback and how that landed and what maybe you learned a little bit since Wednesday.
Yeah. So insane, Mom, and I can't tell if it's neighbor kid or kids.
Oh, it's okay. It's no worries. Justin, I did hear through the grapevine, through your beautiful wife, that you actually communicated to your ex, to Tamara. Is it Tamara or Tamara?
It's Tamara.
Tamara, thank you. Much more
it's
American.
It's spelled Tamara, but it's Tamara.
Tamara. Okay, thank you. So Tamara, that you guys were intending to parallel parent, correct?
Yeah. It didn't all go down like what we had been talking about. I guess before that happened, last Sunday we actually sat down and did the love languages assessments with the girls.
Yeah.
Then Sunday night the girls go back over to their mom's house. Monday, Tuesday there was messaging back and forth, and before even really kind of getting a chance to sit down and communicate parallel parenting, it was more like she gave me an ultimatum kind of thing. It's like, are we trying to do something or are we not going to? And I'm like, we've been trying for years, hasn't been working. Different now, and basically answered her ultimatum and saying, yep, I guess we're parallel parenting because that's what we're doing. So I think it's clearly now defined that, yep, we're not able to do it together. So there still has to be coordination though, and that's always been a challenge. It's like every time we get to this time of year, it's vacation planning conflict.
Right.
That's not the parenting aspect specific. That's more coordinating.
How did that feel for you, Justin, to kind of say like, okay, it's been 3 years, we've been trying, it's not working, let's try something else?
I'm kind of trying to figure out why it came up from her side of point of view, and it's mostly, I think, because the girls had gone over there and said, "Oh, we did these love language assessment things." She even asked, kind of, if we're taking a class, what, we could share material or something.
Hola, señorita.
Hi, beautiful. There's one of the dogs. Is that Anessa?
Beautiful
Yeah,
hair.
Vanessa.
Hi, Nessa. She does. She's gorgeous
Awesome
hair.
So sorry, we got sidetracked there.
Yeah, you were saying, yeah. So she reached out to you after the girls must have went and said something. Yeah.
So yeah, that sparked several topics of discussion via email with her, and so from that standpoint, it's been kind of a rough week. I don't yet know where I'm at as far as feeling different now that I've responded and said we've not been able to co-parent, so we're just gonna parallel parent. I know Angela's been watching some videos. I haven't seen all the ones she looked at as far as differences between the two styles, I guess. But I don't know. I guess what it's going to come down to is how the girl's going to react. And like defined, I don't know. That's kind of what I'd like to see, and that's going to take some time.
Exactly.
Hi, Evelyn. She wanted to come join the party.
You did.
Hi, baby girl. Well, I think something that we have seen is that any big decision like you make like that, it's often going to get harder before it gets easier, or it's going to get worse before it gets better, just simply because it's change, and it's different and it's not fun. But we know we want to see you guys through it. We want to see you guys find a solution that's going to keep your family intact, and that you guys can be as a team, you and Angela. And Angela, Justin was just sharing with us kind of a little bit of this week and how you guys have been corresponding with Tamara through email. And is that the typical correspondence, by the way? Is that mostly the way you guys talk with her, is through email?
Email or text, yeah.
Okay. So you don't have necessarily one designated way. It's either or,
No.
like a text or email?
Yeah, I try to do like more formal stuff, like here's when I'm on vacation stuff via email, but then there's all the throwing via text.
Yeah.
Do you save them somewhere? Do you keep all?
Yeah, I've kept all the messages in email. The text, keeping them off the phone's a little bit different, I guess. But yeah, I would keep all the emails.
Do you guys have some kind of a court settlement agreement kind of a thing?
There's agreement in place from the divorce. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's mostly, if you don't mind us asking, that's mostly for schedules as far as like when the girls come during the school year and the summer?
School year, summer, holidays, all that stuff.
Okay. Because I know that I think Angela, I think you were mentioning this week that Tamara was trying to change schedules or something like that. Like, does she do that often?
The summertime is the hardest part, I think, because the agreement says, as far as vacation, summer vacation times, that there's up to so many days, and we're planning a trip to see my folks for a couple weeks in July, and then now she just coming out with her plans, and it's in June, and so it's almost back to back. There's only like 1 week in between the two trips, so I don't know how much traveling the girls are going to do. But we were talking about Jessica, for example, our oldest. Not going to be able to go get a job. She's 17. It's the summer because she's going to miss.
Right.
a month worth of the summer being gone traveling on vacation trips.
Is she graduating this year, or she'll be a senior in September?
Right, senior next fall.
Okay, her last year.
Wow. If I get this right, and I'm also speaking from my own experience, when you're trying to co-parent with shall we call it a high conflict, whatever you do, whatever you've been trying for these past few years, I know the feeling, you just never seem to get anything right.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I speak of my ex-wife as like an energy vampire, just sucking all the life and sucking all the goodness and just like feeding off of my energy.
Mm-hmm.
If I can be so frank, she's very, very good in manipulating, very good in turning things around, that I'm the bad person, that it's all my fault.
That you're the narcissist, and it's only about Billy, but somehow it gets thrown around.
Using Billy a lot to try to lure me back in, because she'd know that that's my soft spot. Every time when I would try to build a wall, put up some boundaries, that's her way to get me back in there.
Yeah.
So when someone like that is feeding off of you for so long, she got you where she wants it. Where she wants it. You're kind of like undergoing whatever she's feeling or wanting or desiring. Or I can only imagine, what I'm trying to say is that I can't imagine that if you try to get away from a person like that, that they are going to act out. Is that okay if we talk?
It's not open.
Okay.
What about acting out?
That they are going to act out. They're going to put up a fight. They're going to throw anything they can at you, just to try to make you feel bad, and just to try to get you back in their door, back in there, in endless conversations, making you feel bad. So I think that's kind of normal.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like bite the bullet, like bite through this phase, because it will end sometime. It takes two to fight, right? And the moment that you step out, that you walk away, of course she's gonna say even worse things at first, but as long as we don't get caught back in those traps that they do, very subtle and very
well. And Justin, I sympathize with you, because I know at one point this woman was someone that you loved. I mean, you had a long marriage with her. There was a reason why you married her to begin with. You guys had 3 children together. And I think it's hard sometimes to let go of that person. And I think part of your good heart is that you want to believe and think the best of her. But it doesn't say anything about you if you see the reality of what she's showing you. It's showing more about her, and you can control what and how she's doing.
Yeah.
And I think something that for me was even very enlightening, and we've kind of started doing parallel parenting, I'd say, for about the past year. And I think something that was enlightening for me in this video, and I think Angela, as you as well, is this man, and he's like has this huge following. He's like a divorced dad something. This gentleman was speaking on YouTube. And something he made very clear, at least for me, and I think Angela as well, was that it's not so much a choice of choosing parallel parenting or co-parenting. It's actually your reality. It's like, because you need to co-parent, you need 2 willing parties. And if there's one that's always snowballing, like making you do what they want, that's you don't have a choice. Like you may want to co-parent, but if this other person's not willing to be there, you really, it's like you don't have a choice. You need to parallel parent for the sake of your sanity, and especially because you're remarried and you have other children and a new baby. It's like you have no choice but to accept to parallel parent, because no matter how much you may want to co-parent, it just feels like she's very willing to do so.
Yeah. I guess I still have to worry about what additional fallout is coming from formalizing the statement there, but we'll see. This is the first weekend the girls have been over there after kind of stating this, so
yeah,
they're gonna come back at me with.
Honestly,
sorry.
Oh, wait, go ahead.
Tamara's been messing with me all day.
When?
Of course she will.
Today?
Yeah, because she's wanting to know, can I not empathize with her, and can she tell me her story, and she'll listen to my story, and like if there's empathy between us, then then her dream reality of us being buddies can become real. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to respond to you right now. Like, I'd be friendly. I did not ever say I'd be your friend.
Right. There's a difference.
Exactly.
And so now I'm like, serious. Like, I don't want to deal with you anymore. So now we have to have the conversation as to what boundaries can I put there.
She's loading.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like he said they're going to parallel parent, and she's like, oh, well, Angela, if I can get you in, I can get Justin back in.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's very
divide
good
and
at
conquer.
It's like, oh, well, I can make it to where you want, So I'm just, I feel emotionally drained.
Imagine.
The very core.
But I'm very glad that you can see right through it, right through her.
So.
But it's harder. I think it's harder. It's easy to maybe sometimes see, but then harder to do, because at least from my own experience, I know that I have control over how I feel about things, but sometimes for lack of a better term, I feel like the douchebag. I hate that word, but I feel like the jerk maybe when I feel like, oh, am I not the one putting in the effort? Is this genuine? But then I think we have to always look at patterns of people too, and also realize that these women or men, but right now we're talking about the ex as a woman. And I know as well, Caitlin, you too have a high conflict ex. It's like, we have to look at their patterns, and that they can say and they can do whatever they want, but it actually doesn't define us. And we have to protect, I think, our family. And something that we've done ourselves, but we've actually done research on too, is that when people decide to parallel parent, it is hard on the family and on the kids at first, because usually it comes from, most people don't start their blended family parallel parenting. Most people try to co-parent. Of course, I mean, people say that is the best way, but it's only best when the two parents, the biological parents, actually decide to do it together. I love her. But when you, that's okay. You do what you need to. You do what you need to. No worries. Justin will update you. But as is the parent life. But with parallel parenting, I can imagine you're worried about how your girls are going to react and what they're being told and stuff. But the way I think I see it in your household, Justin, is that what you're doing is also not working. And I can only imagine it feels frustrating, because you're trying to do something that maybe doesn't feel right with you and Angela, because you're trying to maybe do more things that are right for their mom and what Tamara feels, versus parallel parenting. You take control of your own household. And I know it will be probably an adjustment for your girls. But over time, at least they'll see, okay, so this is what Dad and Angela do. This is their rules. And I think that's where I would focus, if I could just share with you, like, if that's where I would focus your energy, is focus on, like, not so much what Tamara is going to say, or what she's going to say to your girls or what she thinks. I focus more on like addressing your girls' concerns as they adjust and as they get to know more of how you and Angela parent. And over time, they will come to see it, but it's only if you and Angela stick to like, okay, this is our house, this is what we feel and believe. Your mom parents and believes a different way, and that's okay. We're not going to try to change her parenting, because when you guys are with her, that's how she does things. But here in this house, this is how we, as the Fentons, this is how we do it. And yeah, I don't know, Kim, if you wanted to say anything else, because we were talking this week about this too, because we're kind of, as Billy starts to go back to her mom now, back and forth, we're already starting to see those pains come back from her going between two homes. Right. And you basically, Kim kept saying like, as a father, because I don't always get this either, but I know, Kim, you were like, you can't take it personal. Like when she reacts a certain way, like you have to just kind of put yourself at a distance. I'm sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I know that you were saying just like, you know, when things come at you and the kids don't understand, you have to just say like, baby, I love you. You don't have to understand. You need to respect, this is what we do. And if you can't do that, like, please go to your room, go take your time, but this is how we do that. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So all of this has got me thinking that at least for this aspect of the situation, I kind of feel like the whole, I'm their bio dad, the parent side of this is more challenging most of the time. And I think most of that is because the situation on the other side, that the girl's bio dad is not involved in the picture. So it feels a little different in that sense. Also interesting because yesterday we were having a discussion, if you want to call it that, with one of the girls here, one of the twins. She said stepdad, and I just like felt that. I was like, what? You called me Justin for a long time, then you started calling me dad after the adoption and everything. And then stepdad yesterday was just kind of like, whoa. She did it again today too, and I'm just like, she's having a rough weekend. I don't know, really right now it's so rough that it's like we're in the class, we're trying to make an effort and go down a path, and there's all kinds of I don't know if you want to call it opposition, just negative energy that we're facing, both of us, you know, together really. But seems like every week we've had something going on that really made things challenging to say, you know, we're trying to do the right thing. Why is it so hard? Has anybody else had any like of those challenging moments in the whole thing since we started the path here?
I think you may please do not forget that it's not only challenging on the two of you, meaning you and Angela. Yeah. It's also been challenging, or it is also challenging on all the girls that are involved, that are with you for the past few years.
And their teens and their girls.
And their girls.
Not to mention that, you know, that they're in the middle of this blended family that's trying to figure itself out. But I think that just being a teen girl is really overwhelming and challenging. And just, you know, we did hear a little bit, I don't know if she's nearby, but we did hear a little bit of what one of the twins expressed to you guys. And I shared with Kim what she said. And the first thing, I loved your perspective. The first thing you said was, at least she's sharing her feelings, even though it's not necessarily positive to what you guys want to hear, but at least she's also not bottling those feelings up anymore. Because as teenage girls, we experience a lot of emotions and we don't know what to feel about them. And very often we change so quickly too. We could say one thing one day and then the next day we could feel something completely different. And I think you guys just probably feel very attacked or very overwhelmed because you have 5 of them going through it at the same time.
And a little baby.
Yeah. Not to mention you guys have a newborn. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very exhausting.
Yeah.
That's why I think Kim and I, when we've talked about how can we best help you guys, we want to help you guys have like little wins, like experience, like make very small little changes that you guys can make in your household together and move forward in that way. And then once you get some like peace and unity there, then start to add a little bit more, but slowly, you know, like something that you guys can feel like, okay, that this is us, this is the Fentons, this is, you know, Justin and Angela, this is what we stand by, something simple you can communicate to the girls and work on. And then when you start to see some improvement and progress, then you can add something else along the way.
Yes. Yeah, that sounds good.
But Caitlin, I think Justin kind of asked that question, just to bounce it over to you. Like, have you guys also felt maybe some, what is that called, good friction or challenges since the start of the class?
I don't know if I would say that I feel that anything is happening because of the class. I mean, our situation is a little different because, I mean, for example, Matthias is here right now, but he has no idea like what I'm doing. So he's littler. He's not like conveying this to someone, you know.
Yeah.
We have had like some things happen in the meantime, just like certain kind of like statements from his mom saying that like maybe he's behaving a certain way because we've gotten married and things like this, like kind of putting a lot of assumptions out there when she has absolutely no idea what our situation actually is. Saying that it's like, oh yeah, you know, his behavior is completely coinciding with when you guys got married, and then he comes here and he's completely normal and happy and like same old happy kid, and we're like, are you sure it's not something at your house that's causing him to have all these meltdowns? You know, like it just doesn't really line up.
Fingers,
It has to be a bad guy and it's
Yeah.
someone else. It's someone else's fault.
Yeah. And so I think, you know, Luis has been trying to get a lot stronger, as he mentioned last week on the call too, that he's been trying to get a lot stronger with boundaries, even if it's just like small things that she might not even necessarily be noticing yet, but that's helping him, you know, because like sometimes you don't have to communicate every single thing that you're doing, you just start doing it. And I think that also might help keep some of that conversation minimal. There was something else. Yeah, I mean, I felt pretty encouraged because I felt like, okay, it's kind of opening up all this conversation between Luis and I. And then, for example, last weekend we had one day that was just really, really hard. It was like we didn't really have a plan for the weekend. I just felt like we were kind of like, I know, right?
We
For
had a
him,
plan.
it's like totally normal, but for me, it enhances all of the difficulties that I feel like as the new stepmom. Like I'm sort of like, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what we're eating. I don't know who's cooking. I don't know where we're going. Like, and then I just feel like I'm kind of just like, okay, let me just follow whatever you do. And I feel sort of like I'm just kind of like waiting around all the time. Which might not sound very positive, but I mean, I've told that also to Luis, and we've brainstormed ways that, you know, he's a little go with the flow, like laid back, and I'm a little bit more like, hey, let's make the most of our time. Let's find a balance. Like, I at least would like to know a little bit, like what my day looks like, you know, whether that be like parts of the days that are like personal and part of the days that are like for the family. So we've been like trying to be a lot better about like communicating that and like, but there was just like last Sunday, it was just, I think, a combination of things, but it was just like a lot of, we were exhausted. There was like tension. I had to like remove myself for a bit so that I wasn't like showing my emotions in the middle of the home, where poor Matthias would be like, what's going on? You know? And then it was just like, not that anything happened. It was just like a day, you know, where it was just like, there's just so much in my head. And So I think in that way it was sort of like, oh, I thought maybe I was like moving beyond these, like kind of like how Meryl had also expressed that there's sometimes where you just feel like you just want to retreat completely.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like that for me, where I was like, I know I shouldn't be retreating, but that's what I feel like I need. And so it was like this emotional day. But I don't know. There's just some days that are like that and some days that are good. Like today's been a really good day and we've all been flowing really well together. So, but I mean, it has been like, there's been like some questions that Matthias was asking about like his parents' divorce. And I think Luis would be okay with me saying that. And you know, him coming back and saying, well, mommy said this, and then Luis saying, no honey, that's not true, and then trying to kind of give as much as a 7-year-old can handle, but not letting her rewrite history in a way that's not true at all. Or you know, him saying, oh, you know, why did you do this before? And Luis is kind of like, where did you even hear that? And like random things about like super random things that we're like, where is this coming from? And so I think he's realized like, okay, like the way like they were in the middle of a department store when he was asking about like his parents' divorce. And it was like, okay, you don't expect to have that conversation with your 7-year-old kid in the middle of a department store. But I think Luis is realizing that it's like, okay, he's a very observant, very curious kid. And like, these things don't go as planned. Like they just come when they come.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out how to give
Angela's like,
honest, yeah. And how do you give a child, especially depending on their age, like honest information, but what they can understand, but not too much. And so it has been interesting that like completely coincidentally in the midst of this course there like has been this talk of him starting to process more of like almost as if because when his mom remarried he was 2 and now he's 7.5, and he's just naturally at the age where he's like, oh, every family looks different, oh, look at my friends at school, and why are some things like this and some things like that. And so he's just curious. And so there's been a little bit of like his mom coming at it like, oh, what did you do, what happened, why is he asking that, and instead of looking at it, which I think is more of like, hey, it's normal for a kid to be asking these questions, like how about actually talk to him instead of blaming, you know.
It's healthy.
And so yeah, and so I think and I hope that a lot of this like processing and just seeing that we're not the only ones has also helped empower Luis to know that he's not alone in those conversations and those transitions. And so I mean, yeah, Justin, I don't know that our situation is as comparable because we don't have as many children involved. But
I think age is one of the.
It is a big
Definitely.
difference, I think. You know, I can't imagine blending multiple teenagers, but it is, even if it's I think all your own bio teens, it's a hard time of their life in general. It's just turbulent, and like Cheyenne said, there's so much they're processing on their own that they don't even understand completely.
Of course
and
not.
then we as humans tend to take it out on the people we love the most, which naturally is going to be our parents and our siblings. The other thing I was thinking of, you know, and I don't know all the details as to like what you guys have been attempting, but I think that sometimes the whole like title of like parallel parenting or co-parenting might sound to someone like, oh, there's this huge shift that's happening, but you know, I don't know what you guys have been trying to do, but I think also for the girls to maybe realize like it doesn't mean that you're never ever speaking to their mother again. It doesn't mean that you're like anti anything that she does in their home. It's just like the TV rules can be different at each home. Like where you go on the weekends can be different at each home. Like it's like obviously most parents are going to teach their kids like don't hurt people, don't steal. Like all those things are like more or less the same. But just the minute details of like when can you eat in the kitchen, who cooks for themselves, how long do you watch TV at night, you know, like my parents had drastically different like kind of rules at their house, and I had no idea that there was even like a reason. It was just sort of like, that's just how it is at mom's and that's how it is at dad's, you know. And
Simple.
there were certain things, like if it came to school or if it came to like, hey, you have a doctor's appointment, you're getting a vaccine or you're getting a procedure or whatever, like of course my parents were both informed and like discussing it.
Yeah.
But you know, maybe for the girls they feel a little bit nervous, like, oh, are there going to be big huge changes? And so, you know, I don't know how they receive those kind of like chats, but maybe just saying like, this is not going to be a big huge thing, other than we want to take, you know, we want our home to be our home, and that includes you guys. There's been some things like that also, you know, I mean, Matthias is only 7, but there's been some things like that that he was actually assuming everything would be the same. And we realized, like, you know, a few weeks ago, he was like crying in bed, and Luis went in there and was like, what's wrong?
Not in my shoes.
Oh, I'm really
Not in my
hungry. I don't want to get in trouble. We're like, what do you mean? Like, if you're hungry, you wake us up, you know, or something. And, you know, he had maybe not eaten as much of his dinner. I don't know. He might have just stayed up later than usual, and therefore he wasn't used to being hungry at night. So we, of course, like got him a snack. And he's like, oh, I didn't know that it was okay to like come tell you, because mommy gets really, really mad if I wake her up at night. And like, we're like, of course you can. You can always, you know. And so it's just like little things that he's assuming are the same. And like to us, that's like, we would never need to communicate that to her, that we're doing this differently, you know?
Yeah.
No.
So, I mean,
Less is more.
That resonates, but yeah, I think it actually takes a very, very specific pair of people to be able to like smoothly co-parent. And I think, like Angela, how you were saying that she kind of wants to be buddy with you, I think if she's been this problematic from the beginning, like there's never going to be a buddy. And I think majority of especially women don't want to be besties with their husband's ex. So, like, I don't know why people think that this is normal. It's like,
I'm just like, I have zero desire to hear
no,
my
like
husband.
I remember one time Louise said, oh, if she ever tries to like ask you to coffee, and I'm like, why the heck would I ever go to coffee with her? And he's like, no, because he tried that with my ex-girlfriend. And I was like, well, no, it's not gonna happen with me, because I have no need to do that, you know?
Yeah. Billy's mom wanted to regularly walk our dogs together. And she's like, because we live like a kilometer away, we need to walk them anyways. And I'm like, yeah, but we can walk them separately. Like, I'm okay with that.
And I think some actually know what they're doing. And honestly, even if they don't, it's a subconscious way for them to try to still have an inside look into their life. And it just doesn't need to happen. And it's a hard reality to tell them, like, that's your past life. It's over, you know?
Yeah. Well, on that, it was interesting because she messaged him this week saying something about being a side mom. What she said it was.
That she feels like that she has to be a side mom.
Yeah, that at our house she said, she said one, we were trying to figure out how to work together on the same team with the goal of happy and successful children. The other option, one parent is on the bench without coaching privileges unless it is major medical, education, etc. decisions, and we swap in and out of that bench parent role. The girls were talking and said, at your house, I am the side mom, and this picture of being benched hit me. It is definitely how I see some of your past actions, but some lately seem attempts to let me in the game, maybe, and some not. So I'm like, benched mom, like, you're crazy.
She's perceiving it completely in a victim standpoint, because she shouldn't have a say over what happens in your home with your kids.
Right. I'm like, I'm sorry, like, you are their mom, but at our house,
and I think, I mean, so I've
she's
heard
not even in the team.
Yeah. And the whole, like, the thing is, it's not that, you know, one of the girls is going to get rushed to the hospital and you're not going to call her or something. It's like she'll be informed about these important things, I'm assuming. So it's the little minute details of what happens in their evenings after school is, as long as they're safe and well fed and cared for and loved, I don't think, you know, I mean, that's easier to say than to convince some mothers.
Yeah, I'm just like,
Yeah.
If I may,
Can I?
you can go.
I'll go really quickly. I mean, it's very blunt to say, but she lost that privilege when she divorced Justin. It's that simple, right? It's like she made that choice to leave that marriage. And you know, as a mother myself now, I can imagine, I mean, I empathize with her and any mother that has to let go, but she has to let go. I mean, that's the reality, is like, I can't imagine the amount of faith that it takes to be in a blended family when you send your children. Because, you know, right now, again, I'm just the stepmom, and my child I'm raising with his father, like in our cozy home, and I'm not sending him anywhere. And so I really empathize with you you know, parents, but basically on the call right now, Justin, I mean, you have to have that trust every time you send your 3 girls over there. And I think, what parent wouldn't love to have their children 24/7, you know? But at the end of the day, it is so true that, like, I think, like Caitlin said, she's lying to herself, or has this victim mentality if she thinks that she is owed to be the mother or woman of this household, where she no longer is when the girls are here, you know? And that's why I think, that's what's hard, is that she could keep playing this victim mindset with you guys, but it's not your responsibility to try to convince her to get out of it. You know, like, she's going to have to do that on her own someday, or get her own help, while in the meanwhile, you guys are trying to focus yourselves on growing these children into, like she said, like, responsible, loving human beings, but with Angela as the head woman of that household.
Mm-hmm.
And Kim, I'm sorry, I jumped in. You were going to say something.
Oh, that's okay. Do you want to respond to that, Angela? Or
no, I mean, that's how I always have felt. That's my job at this house, not hers.
exactly. But one thing that strikes me, that I see like is a recurring theme with Tamara, is that she always, because we love the word always, and when people use it against us, right? But she seems to like to bring up old bygones, like things that, of course, everybody makes mistakes. And of course, we did something that wasn't perfect, but she seems to like to bring it.
Or to remind you guys what you've done.
And that is like I see that as a tactic to try to get you down, to make you feel bad.
It does.
So please know that it's just a tactic.
Yeah.
And you also have the right to block her number every once in a while when you've had enough, when you're fed up. No, really, honestly, block it. Save yourself first. That's what I would say.
Well, I mean, Kim's done that when, especially if you have a court arrangement, that is the blessing of the arrangement if you decide to use it. Because in and of itself, when the children are with you and it's a court order that you say you have them during those weekends, you don't owe that ex as much as they may make you. And with in the judge and stuff, and they're like, actually, it's a lot less than a lot of times people try to use legal arrangements, because they're like, now when the children are with you, you don't owe that excommunication unless, yes, like Caitlin said, unless there's a hospital visit or something, altering, life-changing, life-threatening happens. But other than that, like, they are not owed a constant form of communication like they may make you feel like you are.
And I think also what you had said, Justin, about like worrying about the fallout, it might get messier before it gets better, but it's really only going to be via words and whatever emotions the girls feel, because that's the blessing of you guys having custody agreement is that she can't threaten to like, you know, move away out of the state with them or something. It's not that she can threaten taking away time if you already have that in legal writing.
Yeah.
So the worst is really the emotional frustration, but yeah. Sorry,
something that, oh no, do it,
I was gonna
just.
say, at least in our situation, I think Angela has it rougher than I do, being the stepmom, than I would have as the stepdad. Just because
You're
of
right.
the shared
yeah. And I think that's
kind of the focal point of this week's lesson, right?
Mm-hmm.
and I
think
think
one
like
of
what
do it,
sorry.
Kate. Do it.
what Kim was saying about blocking the phone number, I mean, it sounds harsh, but if you have already made a statement like, hey, email is best, and if that's just going to help everyone's sanity, like upholding that boundary might take a lot of energy, but hopefully will save energy later on down the road. I mean, that's something I've even mentioned with Luis, is like there were times where his ex was sending messages expecting to have a full-on texting conversation, and it was like in the only 8 hours that he had Matthias the whole week, and I'm like, stop, like she's taking away the one day you get with him.
Yeah.
And she needs to learn that she can't just expect like an immediate response at any given time that she wants a beck and call, especially late at night, especially on weekends. Like there was one time I even was like, we need to maybe like set office hours, like, hey, I'll respond to you Monday through Friday from this time to this time, unless it's an emergency. That hasn't happened yet, but you know, like even if you brainstorm something like this, because it's also just heavy on our conscience when we expect that at any given time like something can come through the phone, you know. That's also exhausting to constantly wonder.
I've many times I have forgotten my phone in my car. Sorry, man.
No, like purposely, but yeah. Yeah. And it's funny, I don't know what the laws are in the different states, like in the US, but we actually, I think, Kim, you said at the court date a few weeks ago, like, I don't know how it got brought up, but you said the judge said that a reasonable amount of time to get back to the ex was 2 weeks.
3 weeks.
We're like,
responding within 3 weeks is okay. No, really.
But isn't
right?
that insane that like legally,
Just
like
some
I think half
perspective.
the time what I think so much what the issue is I think in blended families, we don't, I mean, I speak from our own experience. We don't exactly know what our legal rights are, and we let someone else dictate them to us that has this like power trip very often. And because like, for instance, Billy's mom has made threats to us. I shared with you guys today, you know, she has a big problem with taking things personal that we put on the internet, even as explicitly as we try to say, like, this was, you know, this is maybe a client of ours or something we're having in research. Like the thing she commented on today was from 3 weeks ago. And in the message, it explicitly said that it wasn't her. But again, it just, what I will say that's what worked for us is we definitely, boundaries weren't something that we figured out overnight. It is something that you kind of have to see, okay, where is this person pushing the boundary that I don't feel comfortable with, that feels like we keep going down this hole, like that. And again, like Kim said, being an energy vampire, like where are we noticing our energies getting sucked dry? So where do we need to now put a boundary? And so for me, my personal story, I shared a little bit on Wednesday, but long story short, in the very beginning of mine and Kim's marriage, I actually started to handle a lot of the communication with Billy's mom, simply because I was this, for lack of a better phrase, good Christian woman. I wanted to see myself as this mediator. How can I help this family blend better and bring peace to this situation? You know, it was clear that he and his ex couldn't communicate well together. And for a while, it was okay. It was like, again, Angela, I think like Tamara's trying to say to you, like, I think with Billy's mom, I did kind of see the woman's perspective. Especially when I got pregnant, I was like, wow, I can't imagine as a mother, but it got to the point where her mom kind of took a little bit of that kindness and ran with it and started to really I'd say divulged too much information to me. She started to call me incessantly all the time and want to just suck my energy. And really, eventually, we saw that she's trying to divide and conquer. She's trying to get me on her team, and she's going to divide our marriage if we don't put a stop to it. So, to where I thought it was sweet and innocent, I would send her photos of when Billy was with us just to keep her like feeling. I was imagining as a mom, it has to be tough not seeing her kid for a week. And she probably was wondering, what's her kid doing? So I'll send her photos. But again, for us, it opened a gateway to her influence. And so finally, I had to stand up and say, like, Angela, I said in the message today, I was like, Marianne, her name is Marianne. I was like, don't confuse my kindness for weakness. Like, this does not mean you can just walk all over us and our marriage and our relationship. And I said, I'm going to have to draw a boundary line here. If you want to talk about your daughter and Billy, you need to do so with Kim only, because this is becoming toxic for our marriage. And our marriage is first and foremost for us. As your daughter's, of course, important to all of us, but our marriage, because a lot of times we find in step families, the ex does not value the new marriage. She does not see the new marriage as dominant over her influence in the man's life. So I think I had to lay that down and be like, yes, you guys, sorry. Yes, you guys have this connection that you guys share a child, but you are no longer his woman. You're no longer that voice of reason, that voice of truth, that voice of love in his life. That is my role, and I need to protect him in this family. So actually, ever since I stood my ground, it was a little bit at first, he kept trying, but the more I stopped communicating or kept saying, go to Kim, go to Kim, go to Kim, I just kind of put up a wall. She stopped contacting me. Of course, until today. This was the first time she messaged me in like 3 months. But it was fine because I saw myself going a little bit back to the old Cheyenne. I tried to defend myself and explain myself. And I was like, wait, what did we just teach in our step parenting lesson this week? Shoot, you're like, when you have to start applying your own wisdom. And so I kind of deflected and I shut her down and I cut it very short and sweet. And then she stopped messaging. So just know it's not simple. It can be super simple. Like, we can really just draw these boundaries, but it's not, I should say, always easy. Maybe it's simple, but it's not always easy, because you do have to be okay with being called unkind, unfair, unreasonable, because it is going to be hard on someone else, the ex. But I think you have to realize, like, does their opinion of you actually matter? Do you actually care what they say?
Does it say more about you, or does it say more about them?
Yeah. So I don't know if that helps at all. I mean, that's obviously from my own personal experience. Everyone's is different. But for us, that was just a simple boundary that I finally made was, okay, no more communicating with Billy's mom, no matter the good moments. I think we had some good moments over the year, but there was too many bad moments and it was creating too much toxicity. I'd even say between me and you, there was a time where I was like, okay, this isn't helping, this isn't worth it, and we're gonna not be on the same page if I think we continue this, and she's gonna get between us. And that's where I was like, no. I'd rather Billy be mad at me and maybe not have the best mindset with me because of things her mom is saying that I can just handle over time with just being my character and who I am in front of Billy, rather than worrying about our family ultimately breaking apart. That was what I was mostly concerned about. Mm-hmm. No, Evelyn.
I think there's a lot going on in Angela's head at this point.
Gears are turning.
He's got a better view than we do.
Yeah. No, I keep thinking about just all the girls in general and just how difficult it is for them. And parent, I'm just like,
yeah,
gosh, it sucks.
Yeah. I mean, Angela, you have such the heart of a mother. It doesn't matter that Justin's girls are not biologically from you, we can all tell that you care for them and you love them and you want the best for them. I mean, not to mention you have two girls yourself that you carried and you raised that are right around that same age. And I think it's hard when you know someone else is maybe saying something that doesn't reflect who you are, and you know, it makes you out to be this person you're not. And especially when the girls themselves don't maybe see you in the way that you truly are. Those moments are hard, but we want to obviously protect also this sweet little girl. We want to make sure that she is raised in a family that is united and together and is loving. And I think the best way you can do that is that you guys just, you and Justin, get on a strong page and set up those boundaries and those it's like putting those protective guards around your family and that family that you've now formed and that God's brought together.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay, Angela, if I may, I find it beautiful for you to also explore the girl's perspective.
Yeah,
And that you come to that
awesome
conclusion, like, okay, this situation sucks for the
them.
time being.
Yeah.
But at the same time, try to not get carried away by that conclusion. I think the situation would suck even more if you would feel bad because of that.
Or if she wasn't there to begin with, like, it would be worse. You're such a blessing.
Situation sucks, whether you like it or not, whether you accept it or not, whether situation is what it is. Your wishing it to be different will not make the situation different. So I think that focus on what we can control, and there are certain things that we just cannot control, and it's energy wasted, of course, to go and find trying to change that situation. What we can change at this point, I think, is ourselves, the way we think, the way we feel about certain things. And I think that if we can lift ourselves up or feel less bad, the situation is already better for the girls than it would if we were to feel like defeated or so in some way, or feel guilty or feel failed or get carried away by the emotions. That something that I try to tell myself more in other times in my life is that nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. It's the way that we think about something which would describe it. We would define it as good or bad, but I always think of, like, from God's perspective, nothing is bad. It just is. It's how we cope. It's how we deal. It's how we feel. It's what we make of this situation.
Kind of like Angela, to be honest, like I love his perspective, because when I shared with him what your daughter said today, you know, my heart, of course, went out to you guys. And I think Caitlin too, like, what she shared is in some ways very much heartbreaking. But then, you know, Kim was like, well, it's not necessarily a bad thing that she feels that. We don't want her to stay in that place, of course, but also, like, look at the positive that she shared with you guys. I think it's really hard for teenagers to share their emotions, but even to define their emotions, even to know what it is that they're feeling, you know. And so maybe just, you know, encouraging her and saying, you know, baby, we didn't know you felt like this, but we're really happy that you shared this with us. And it's okay that you feel that way, you know, not trying to immediately fix it or make her feel differently. It's like, okay.
Or judge.
Yeah, because it sounds like she's judging herself too a lot.
Yeah.
And we might be judging that. I think for a kid, for any kid or any person in general, I think it's very important that you just have the room, the place to just share what's going on within you. It's no one's fault. It's It's not your responsibility. Of course, your daughters are your responsibility, but the way they feel and the way they think, in the end, ultimately, is their responsibility.
Yeah.
So try to let it not get to you. Try to take it not personally, because
They're becoming their own little women.
Yeah.
Which is hard. I know Justin too, we talked about that last week on the live too, that it's so easy as parents. I can only fathom because I don't have my little baby. I don't even know if he barely, I mean, he's thinking, but all he can say is mom, 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 ah, all the time. It's like you guys went through that season and now you guys though are like seeing these like human beings, these living, breathing like people come out of your girls. And I know Caitlin, you've said even Matthias, you've seen grow so much, and he's only just about 8. So imagine where the Fensons are. And it is hard because there is a point where as parents, it's like you have to realize like they're their own people and they're going to perceive
more.
And take things.
And where
on
are
their
we
own.
making things harder on ourselves than they actually need to be?
Yeah.
True.
It's a constant reminder.
Yeah. So on the step parenting information, we discussed on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess probably because one of the twins said it a couple times. It's weird is when she's angry, him, he loses his title of dad and goes to Justin or stepdad, and even she like took away my title as parent. Like you have to earn your title back.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, where did she like get that? Like that doesn't make any sense to me. Like you could do the most stupid thing, but I would never remove the title of my daughter. And just this whole I know she said it a couple times, like even though he adopted her, that he really can't replace that role as a biological father. And I'm like, I'm trying to like understand the process in her head.
Good luck.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I don't think she understands the process. I mean, yeah, even Caitlin, I can see you shaking your head. Yes. Cause because she's felt so much from what you guys have shared, she's had a really good connection with you, Justin, in the past. And you just have no idea what maybe she's reading online, what she's hearing at school, what Justin, maybe your girls are also sharing or saying. I mean, it's just meaning that everyone right now is trying to figure it out. I just think at this age, there's such an active defiance in us anyways. We don't want to do what our parents want us to do. And we're trying to figure out we're trying to make sense and meaning of the world. And so it's amazing how, yes, at 1 week, Justin could be the king of the world and her daddy. And then next week he's stepdad. Like whoa. And I think she's probably just trying to process all of this at the same time. And it doesn't mean that next week, next month, that she could feel completely different as she just processes it and goes through it. And we saw Billy this year. I mean, to be honest, Billy hated her mom a few months ago. She didn't want nothing to do with her. Her mom would send her gifts and she'd say, I don't want it. Like, throw it away. Like, I want nothing to do with her. And now a few months later, which we're happy about, is she's welcoming her mom back into her life and she's being more open to her. So I only say that to say that maybe what your daughter's feeling right now, I mean, it doesn't mean that it will last forever. And it can just be a big, overwhelming feeling of just all of this things she's trying to process as a 12, almost 13-year-old girl.
Yeah.
I think she's kind of trying to use this title as a weapon against you, Justin, like based on her feelings.
Yeah.
And of course it hurts because you've worked so hard to like take them under your wing and to be this amazing father figure and father to them. And so of course it's gonna hurt, but I think like Cheyenne said, to try to like distance a little bit the emotions. I mean, it's very hard to do, but try to take the step back and say, okay, this is her feelings talking. It's not the truth. And honestly, like, again, we don't want to like live for the future, but I do think as they grow up, they're going to look back and they're going to say, who was the man that was there for this and this and this and this? It was you, you know? And my stepmom had 3 boys that are older than me, whose dad was not in the picture. And my dad also not legally adopted them. He kind of wanted to, they were almost going to, and then I don't really know why it didn't happen, but he was their only father figure. And when they were teenagers, they didn't necessarily call him dad. But you know, now one of them is going through a messy divorce himself, and he's, you know, in his 30s, and he's like, Dad, I need you. And that's his dad. That's the one that's doing everything for him and helping him. And
to your dad, like his stepdad.
Yeah. And that's the dad he knows. That's the dad he's known since he was like 12 years old, you know? So it's like, at the time, he may have felt that bit of like, he knew that that was the man in the household. He knew that was like his mom's husband, but he was also still angry that his dad wasn't around, and that would sometimes come out in different ways. So there's like so much mixed together that I don't even know if we can pack apart completely. But over time, they're also going to maybe look back. And the other thing too is, I think sometimes we expect our kids to owe us an explanation for everything, but they might not know the explanation, or they may never. Maybe they also need external people to process with, not just like us right now, you know?
Yep.
So
even us 20 years later, 30 years older.
Yeah.
Well, I think it raises a good point there, I guess. I haven't really thought of how complex their feelings must be.
Yeah. And I think their feelings about their dad, you know, is obviously nothing of your fault, but it's somehow mixed in their processing, you know. And also like what Cheyenne said about, you know, maybe what are the other girls saying too, because there's also some just drama with teens. Like I remember telling my stepbrother once, like, she's not your grandma, she's my grandma. Like horrible. Like, why would I say that?
Yeah.
Like you're trying to make people.
Girls are mean, yeah.
Yeah, and my brother's like, that's not true. But, you know, it's who knows? That could have gotten in his head. He could have been upset. He could have felt like, oh, I shouldn't say grandma anymore. You know, like who knows? And I'm not saying girls are with each other, but just try not to make it. I mean, we're so easy. There's like, if I'm quoting this correctly, there's like literally a phenomenon called the spotlight effect, where like we think that something that happens is immediately all our fault, and in reality, it's not.
Of course not.
Be a part of a moving puzzle, but
That's beautifully said.
What's the Chihuahua effect?
Someone's heard about that. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. You're going to hear all about that. That is all from Professor Kim Clayman here.
Something that he was explaining. I'll tell you later.
Okay. Let's follow up on
Unless Kim would like to expand upon that, but it'll definitely perhaps change your perspective on maybe your ex, little dog, big dog. Yeah, it's funny because we have a Chihuahua that I brought from the US, Justin, and I think it's something that God teaches us through so many things. I think if we're just only willing to listen and to see his perspective, and sometimes he can, I think, teach us big lessons and small things literally small things sometimes. And Kim, I think, had a really beautiful lesson from God that he taught him with our Chihuahua, that helps him. You said it helped you diffuse and really think a little less emotionally, maybe a little more logically with your ex. So
Have you ever you've seen a Chihuahua, right? They're always the most aggressive kind of dogs.
where is ours?
Right?
Humphrey.
Yeah, little aggressive tiny dog.
Exactly. So we have this little dog, and every time we go for a walk and he sees a bigger dog, he gets like all aggressive.
Even though he looks really sweet right now, don't let him fool you.
He would like to attack a pit bull,
Mhm.
but of course, he does not stand a chance. Of course, but so then why does he do that? Why is my ex always in my face being all aggressive? Is it because she's a big pit bull? Or is it because she feels like a little small tiny chihuahua and she's just scared?
Yep.
I don't know.
I didn't get it at first because I was like thinking, wait, Humphrey, like, our Chihuahua, when he barks, I'm like, he's scared. Are you? But he looks like he's like, no, I got this. Like, I'm gonna kick your ass, is what
He's
you
trying
put.
to convince himself.
But then exactly, because then I was like, wait, he's got to be scared because it's only the big dogs that he goes after. Ones he doesn't see as a threat, that he doesn't see like it's gonna bother him. Other small dogs, he just walks on by. He's good. But it's the ones that he's afraid, that he would be afraid of, is the ones he makes the most noise with. So.
But I go a bit deeper in.
Yeah, so make sure you watch the lesson. It's a good one. There's some good photos with that too.
Just something that helped remind me when people are acting out against me. Something to be aware of, like what drives them.
Yes.
Why are they saying all these nasty stuff? Why are they trying to hurt me?
Yeah.
Oh, good points.
Is there were there other things we wrote down that we wanted to, or there were some things you started saving during the talk?
Yeah,
I don't
just
know
a
if you
little
wanted to
bit.
share any of it.
Just something totally maybe off topic, but random is like what?
Sex. I'm just kidding.
What's in a word, not what's in a name. I'm not going to be quoting Shakespeare here, but what's in a word? When someone says a certain word to us and it hurts us, or it might hurt us, but a word is never really a thing. The word pizza is not something you can live off of, and the word wet will not get you wet. No, the word water will not get you wet. The word mom to all of us has a different meaning. We all have a different idea of a mom. So when someone says a word, try to come at it from the right perspective. It doesn't always mean the thing that we think it means, whichever word it may be.
Show them the picture of what Lily made for her. Can you go get that?
I'm curious.
The word the girls use it, I think, is a good illustration of what you're talking about.
Oh, perfect.
Earlier today, Lily had like run around the house. She played her instrument. She cleaned up her room. And then I was like, so what are you gonna do next? And she's like, kind of like, I just want to chill. I'm like, what does that mean? So I actually did it on my phone. Like, Siri, what does chill mean?
Dictionary, chill, relax. And Lily terms, rest together, play outside, watch TV, cook, not working.
Cold.
Working can be fun, but sometimes you might read and break. Chill can also be thoroughly, what is that? In the compartment, but not frozen.
Chilled coffee.
Oh my gosh, sometimes by yourself. I
Temperatures.
love it. I love it. Good for
I had to write it
her.
down because I was like, you say chill, and I don't know what you want. Chill to me means you're cold.
And there she answered, didn't she, Dad?
Yeah. So she wrote it down.
Clever.
Now I know what she wants to do when she says, I just need to chill.
There you go.
That's good.
But that's so awesome. You know what, guys? Like, it's fun that she already took it to the next level herself. Like, maybe you guys could go deeper with her at some point. Like, even ask her, like, okay, so what does the word dad mean to you? Or, family or something. Like, how would you define it? Like, have kind of fun with it. Like, we don't want to know what the dictionary defines it, or even what dad defines it. How do you define it? Because that really can get more to the heart of it. I remember when Kim and I actually were first dating, we had some of these deep conversations. He would tell me, actually, I think we talked a lot about God in the beginning, about what's in a word. Like, because when you say God, I think something completely different than what obviously you, Shy, think about God. Because when I say God, I thought about this, loving, personal, intentional God, like a father. And I think especially the Christian God, Kim's thinking like Catholic and rules and oppression and priests that abuse little kids. And yeah, I mean, that's just because it's the culture he grew up in. So really, like, and arguably everyone's family is a different culture, which we're going to talk about this week. Little PSA there. But public service announcement. But thank you. I was like, wait, my Belgian husband may not know what PSA is, and maybe you guys. But anyways, everyone's culture is different. So truly, like, your kids or your spouse or even your ex, when they're saying a word, it could mean completely different than how you define it. So that's why I'd say if it's coming from the ex, don't take it personal. And also the kids too, it could be in their minds, they're coming at it from a completely different angle, And so it is like one of those, don't take it personal, I think, number one. But also I love, like, take the opportunity to define it. Like, make it fun for the kids, Chill. This is the chill zone. Are we chilling right now?
Are you chilling?
They're
Yeah.
kind of.
Popsicles definitely got to be in the chill definition. Yes, girl.
Really chill.
It's chilling both
Brain
ways.
freeze.
You know your glasses are on the back of your head, right?
That's chill. That's chill, Mom.
That's so she's got eyes on the back of her head so she can watch you guys at all
Justin
times.
is so chill, man.
Yeah,
but it's gonna be the word of the week now.
You say cool.
Oh, if they were my daughters, everything would be chill. Absolutely. Okay, I hope that we every once in a while we take a deep breath and we remember that what we're doing here is know nothing. Know nothing. Do not underestimate what we are embarking on. I hope you give yourself a little pat on the back every once in a while, and each other too, and pat on the booty as well, because
I'll leave that up to you.
We need it. We deserve it. We're worth it.
Saturday night. That's what's going on.
Yes, sir. Hey, we turn off these cameras and we're kidless. One's with her mom, one's sleeping. So, fill in the blanks. No.
I also think that over the course of our lifetime, we've, in order to survive and to keep moving forward, we've kind of like suppressed things or put it aside, or not now. We're in survival mode. We're moving forward. And by just taking the time to think about all these things, what's going on, of course, some things are going to be bubbling up. And even though it might feel scary and it might feel bad, it's actually a good thing.
Yeah.
I hope that we never forget that we're not alone in all this. God is with us all the time. He always puts us in positions that he knows that is best for us.
Yeah.
We might not always understand why things are happening the way that they are. It's only in looking back that we can understand why God put us through something. But I try to embrace the idea that it's always in our best interest.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that we're going through, God always has.
Do it, Angela.
Well, I was listening to, I don't know if you guys know who John Gordon is. He is the energy bus. You guys keep talking about energy vampires, and that is from the Energy Bus from John Gordon.
Okay.
So, in his book, listen to it.
I thought I made up that word myself, but anyways.
No.
Nice try.
So you need to get his book, The Energy Bus. I've listened to it a couple times, and I wanted to have the whole family listen to it, and I think it's time now. But anyway, so he put on this positive summit, and he had all these other motivational speakers talk and speak, and then they were doing this presentation with one of the speakers this week, and his name was PJ Fleck, and he co-authored a book called Row the Boat or Row Your Boat, something like that. But anyway, he was explaining his theory about rowing your boat is that it's not like a canoe where you go side to side, right? That you're actually looking at your past or looking behind you to move forward, and that you have to work systematically to be able to make that progress.
Yeah.
And so what you just said about that,
like
dwell on your past, but you're actually using your past to propel you to where you want to go. So I don't know. It's just kind of, that thought came to my mind when you just said that, and I was like, yes, it's trying to teach our children, teach ourselves how to not have the victim mentality, but to use your past to move you and propel you to where you want to go.
Yeah.
Goal.
It's a really great analogy because you're like looking at your past, but you're still moving forward. Like you're not staying in one place and you're not going in a circle. Like you are actually using those oars and you're moving yourself, propelling yourself forward, which I love too.
Yes, ma'am.
That's good. Caitlin. Oh, sorry. No, I was just
Angela, do it.
Yeah, I love when Angela opens up and just speaks and shares and chugs her water. Like that's so Angela. I love it.
Yeah.
Speak more.
No, I was just saying that you really do. All of you need to get the Energy Bus from John Gordon.
Write that
I'm
down.
writing it down.
Yeah, me too. And maybe it's something you guys can just throw on in the car when like all the kids are there and tell them like for this car ride, earphones are illegal. You guys have to we're putting on this audiobook and just go for it,
Or this badass book. Ever heard of the badass?
That one I've heard of. I have not read it. No.
Audio book. Just YouTube it and
it's actually for free on YouTube, and I've listened to it several times during runs. And it's literally badass, but something. It's just all about taking ownership of your life and just not listening to society and the naysayers and really just embracing like that God-given part of you and just going for it and basically seeing yourself. And it's great. It's really a great way
uplifting
to yes, and that's guys, like that's what we said too. Is we realized a part of our course that we're going to be adding is definitely a mindset or a self focus, because that is beyond even our marriage. Like that's the number one thing we can really influence the rest of our marriage and our family is by focusing on self, and it is by choosing that self development and that mindfulness for the self. And so if you guys ever have any resources, like keep them coming, because we want to be able to share as much as we can with each other and learn from each other, because there are some things we can't do, right, to change. There's nothing we can really do to change our kids. We can change ourselves and then the environment of our home, but
and it is incremental, though. Please do not ever forget it is small steps. It's like half a pound. What is it? 2 pounds a week?
Yeah, is like the highest number they recommend.
It's not 40 pounds a week. It's like 2 pounds. It's like a simple, small step each day in that habit muscle, the daily half an inch that makes a difference over time.
Yes.
I think, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I guess I could talk about the different stories that I'm hearing on from the Positive Summit. But he said something else about how if you have the water, right, and it's full, how much does it weigh? Right? It was a professor, and all the students are like, "Oh, 8 ounces," blah blah blah, or whatever, right? And the professor actually said, "How much it weighs depends on how long you're holding it. If I'm holding it for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds,
Feels heavier when the more
it weighs nothing. But if I hold it for an hour, 2 hours, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, whatever, all of a sudden, like, it's gonna break because
wow.
I can no longer hold it up. It's too much. So I think that's the part of the process of
putting that glass down every once in a
to
while.
let it go.
You can always pick it up tomorrow, and the shit will still be there tomorrow. So allow yourself to put it down.
Right. So yeah,
Thank you. That's a beautiful metaphor. I like that.
Well, and Angela, I want to just say that I'm proud of you with everything else that you've got going on. You are taking time to do self-development. Like, you are taking time to grow yourself as a human being. So I really commend you in that. And I know that it may not feel like it when you've got like all these arrows maybe coming at you, like it may feel like an attack, but I feel like you're putting on your armor. Like you're like that the spiritual armor, right? Like your helmet, your shield, like you're putting on things to protect yourself so that you can be a stronger role model and wife and mother in your family. And I'm very, very proud of you in that.
thank you, Shay.
Yeah.
Everyone. Proud of everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm proud of Justin for this like masterful multitasker he is over there. He's getting like a workout in with little Evelyn multitasking. But I'm curious. I want to just transition a little bit. We have a few more minutes here together. I wanted to give you guys also a chance if there's anything else that maybe specifically from the lesson that struck you, or anything else you guys wanted to dive deeper on, or something that you've kind of maybe been having questions on. Caitlin, I know you're like me. You're a big note taker. I'm not sure if there's like anything we haven't talked about yet that you've just like want to either make a comment on or a question. Of course, no pressure, but I just want to give anyone the floor that has something on their mind that they'd like to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's something that Luis and I have both been kind of discussing and trying to navigate for a while, and I don't think it's like it's not like a one-time thing, it's like a gradual thing, and I'm also asking, but yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this comes with the age of the child and the personality of the child, so I don't know. Oh, I think
Started to work on that today.
Oh.
We're back, ma'am. We're back.
Okay. I think a lot of it depends on the age of the child and the dynamic and the personality. But one thing that, we've already seen huge strides is like, we see a lot of, it's come really far, but we do still see a lot of insecurity in Matthias, in the sense that he's very fearful of like, he's going to be forgotten, or he's going to be left behind, or like, he's made a comment to Louise before, like, oh, you don't need me anymore now that you have Caitlin, kind of thing. And he, and again, the dynamic, it's like every time he was with his dad, it was just the two of them. And so now, like, he's been very accepting of me. He's very inclusive of me. He's never been like, I don't want her here, which is a blessing in and of itself. But we're just kind of like, we feel a little bit like sometimes we're walking on eggshells, so that we are not like making him feel sad or insecure. But on the other hand, like if we're avoiding like hugging or giving each other a good morning kiss, or if we're like avoiding holding hands, or like showing that we're a couple in front of him, like he's never gonna get it, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I think I kind of started to realize like, okay, well, how can I make him feel included? And at first I thought like, okay, I shouldn't have to like show if like the affection for the child is different than the husband, but I'm like trying to figure out how can I make him also feel a part of it, because at the end of the day he'll grow out of it probably. Like, you know, for a while he was like, every time that Luis would like give me a kiss, hello or goodbye, he also like, Daddy, I also want a kiss on the lips kind of thing. And that lasted like a few weeks, and then he's like, no, I don't want that anymore. Sort of like, you know, so I think like on one hand we're sort of like, I guess in Luis's words it was sort of like, has anyone else experienced this sort of like insecurity in the child, or like fear of missing out kind of thing? Like we're not really sure if it's stemming from something that we're doing, or if it's really just his innate like childlike uncertainty. We're kind of thinking maybe it's just like a phase, and also probably is a lot to do with that he's a very sensitive child. He's a very like, I want to be included in everything. I mean, I can't even tell you, like we have made huge strides. Like before, if he saw a picture of the two of us that he wasn't in, he would just melt and break down and be silent for like the rest of the day. And now he can actually, I mean, like a month ago, I put a picture, the first picture of Luis and I ever, in a picture frame in the apartment. And like, he was a little like kind of uneasy at first, but like Luis talked with him and now it's okay. And he actually hasn't cried about this in a while. So it's like there are certain things we're overcoming, but we're just wondering, I mean, if anyone else has like experienced this, or maybe if Meryl and Yev watch this because they have littler ones.
Yeah.
Or if you guys have any input. Like we're just trying to figure out the balance, because you know, I used to feel so much inside of me, and I know probably even more so Luis, since he's his father, like he was sort of like, well, I just don't want to do anything to hurt him. But it's like, okay, but we can't like live two separate lives.
Mm-hmm.
He's here and when he's not here, and we don't want him to grow up and realize that what he saw wasn't actually our relationship, you know. And so we kind of feel like, okay, we just have to like get through this like murky, muddy thing. But yeah, like you also said, Kim, like it takes time. It's not that it's something that happens overnight. So I guess maybe I'm just talking out loud, or I don't
It's
know if
okay.
you have a question, but
Okay,
if you
thank
guys
you.
have input or
I like that.
advice, or if there's certain things we should focus on, or you know, part of me thought like, do we need to try to explain to him like what it means to be married, or are we just showing him what it means? You know?
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah.
I'm curious what Justin would answer, would say.
Well, I guess from what I'm thinking of related to the girls and stuff, it seemed like when Angela first came in the picture and we were dating and stuff, like the girls were like, oh hey, there's this new person, she's kind of cool and stuff like that. It seemed like it was a cool new thing, and then we got married and it was like, okay, that was neat. And then it was weird because there was like this flip. And I think we're working our way back from that point. You agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I guess it's almost more like they realized, I don't know how long after we got married, but they realized that, okay, this is our stepmom now, kind of thing, and they're started to develop those feelings of things were different before she came into the picture. Like it was fun at first, and then it kind of
Yeah.
So that I think definitely have experienced that and still kind of going through it. And then the other side of it is been really strange for me to watch or see how the girls are reacting to having the baby here now. Yesterday, I kind of felt like one of them, she's not as excited as I thought she was, one of the twins, about having a baby sister around. And then, you know, Angela done a bunch of stuff with pictures up all over the place. And so I'm not sure what else to add to that. What do you think?
Well, I think it's a really important point, Caitlin, that you guys cannot live two different lives when they're with you and when they're not with you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to be who you are and be that example of this is what a healthy marriage looks like, a healthy relationship looks like, and we're not going to pretend to be something that we're not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even though there are people saying things about, us
Right.
constantly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I do like how you said that Louise got into having that discussion, and even at the age that he's at, even if it seems like things are getting better, I think that's a good sign.
Yeah.
He's learning, growing, and understanding better, and that seems to be a positive thing.
I mean, I know it's been like, I mean, it was like even like, for example, like when we got married last month, it wasn't really a wedding. It was just like we had the day for ourselves and like signed papers. And then a few days later, we had like 5 close friends at our apartment for like cake and coffee. And they did this like cute little thing for us. And it was even like, our friends were like, oh, feed each other the cake. And like immediately we had this like gut feeling of like, ugh, like we know this is going to cause drama. And we did it. And everyone could tell it was super uncomfortable because he was in the middle of us like crying because he wasn't included.
Oh.
And it was like, in the moment we were like, hey, now it's time to like feed you. And he's like, no. And he just like shut down. And, like a few years ago, he would have been like full on bawling his eyes out, like not understanding. And in that moment, even though it was hard for him, we could still tell that he understood, like, I'm supposed to keep it together. Like, it was almost like he knew that he should. I don't know. It was almost like his feelings were there, but he was trying not to show it as much, and Luis had to like pull him into the other room later, and he told me that it was like very hard for him, but he also said like, it's okay if you don't like that, but we also offered to include you. And he's like, no, it was too late. And he's like, okay, but I gave you the option of like what the option was and you denied it. And like your dad is also allowed to be happy, and your dad is also allowed to celebrate, and like Caitlin is a good person and she also loves you, and and like he's a very open child. Like he does share his feelings with Luis, which is very good. Like he's always done that. And Luis is very good at explaining to him. But like, it's hard when it's like, if he sees us hold hands when we're walking in the city, and then his demeanor and his personality and everything changes because suddenly he's like, I'm not a part of this, or they're doing that without me, or I'm not in the middle of it. And so naturally our gut instinct feels that we want to like avoid it, but that's not going to bring us together,
Well, what I would say on that, I mean, if you're talking about just holding hands, then Luis could put his arm around him or offer his other hand, or you could even pull him in with your other arm. I mean, there are lots of things.
We're trying really hard to like, every time that we show affection to each other, that he's somehow included, and he seems to be doing really well with that right now. And like I said, like eventually he will maybe change his mind, and then he'll at least still see our norm, But I think from Luis's perspective, maybe it was a little bit more like, is this typical? Is this just a phase? I mean, I think it's probably pretty normal for a child, but it is definitely like we overthink everything when we're the ones right in the middle of it.
Yeah, of course.
Most definitely, I think.
Spotlight.
Sharing an experience. Obviously, we put our relationship first. But there kind of came a time, like if we watched a movie or whatever, like I was always sitting next to him. He likes like the side of the couch. I sit next to him, and then the kids kind of go where they go. And then there's a couple of times that I noticed that his youngest really likes to like lean in on him and like sit next to him. And I was like, I don't really want to watch this movie, so why don't you go cuddle up next to dad? And
Yeah.
I can have that seat. And I'm like, yeah, you can have that seat. So it's like little things like that that I'm like I have other stuff to do anyway.
Yeah.
Or sometimes like if I get up, then she'll like take my seat real fast and she's like, oh, my seat. And I'm like, you want to sit by dad, then we can put dad in the middle. And she's like, no. You can have it back. And I'm like, really, you can like sit by dad. So yes, you want to include and be aware of their feelings, but you also want to allow them to conquer and divide you either.
Yeah.
Because kids are very good at that as well. Kind of.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of where sometimes I'm questioning, like, is this a reflection of his age and his true feelings, or is this a reflection of some sort of like trying to keep the distance kind of thing? But I mean, I know we've noticed that about him from a long time ago. It's like this fear of missing out. And through one conversation, we had heard that he behaves very similarly at his mom's because he is the only one that goes back and forth between these homes. But then there's 4 other kids at his mom's. So, you know, he might feel a little bit like no matter where he is, he's missing out on something. And so we're not sure where it's all coming from, but we're trying to figure out an approach that makes him feel very secure and also like confident that he has a place in this family. So yeah, I mean, a lot of what we've been doing is trying to be like inclusive and dealing with conversation, but like you said, Angela, there might need to be a little bit more of like us taking the lead instead of waiting. So, you know.
Yeah.
But there's obviously a need there. There is a something going on.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know research or scientific wise or how generalizable this is, but I do feel that Billy, she was also 3 years old when her mom and I broke up, and I feel like there's this basic lack of trust. She has a hard time trusting. I feel like I did damage her to some degree. She's very closed. She's a bit more timid. She has a hard time trusting. I can imagine a little boy like Matthias growing up thinking like maybe it's not as conscious at this point, but like why am I here? Why did my parents have me? He used to have all this exclusivity with dad because at mom's there was other kids and there was another man, and now at dad's I was the only one. And something that I try to be very mindful of from the start, like several times a day, ask Billy, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Am I doing this? Is that going on? Including her, being mindful.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say give him a bit more of that. Involve him. If you give a kiss to Louis, give him a kiss too, and maybe give him a kiss first, or I don't know. See
Yeah.
how we can help him heal.
Because you can imagine he probably won't still feel this way when he's 13. You know, I
Right.
can't imagine that he's going to forever have this
Not
desire
consciously,
to be. But I mean that it could be
Who
easy
knows
to imagine like, oh my
where-
gosh, am I always going to have to share my kisses with my stepson? Like, can I not just please hug my husband, just myself? But I'm just encouraging you and hopefully saying that in the beginning, like a lot of blended families, in the beginning, it usually is the most challenging, especially on everyone, honestly, and on the kids included. And something that I know that Matthias and Billy had in common is that they did have exclusivity with their daddies, you know, and actually Billy had it with her mom too. So she was very used to having exclusivity with both parents all the time. And so, you know, that was something too that I think, Kim, again, this was before, but also while we were married, you were very conscious of. And just so you know, it you can share with Luis, and Luis, if you're watching this later, I do believe it's normal, because I think what I see with Matthias, Caitlin, is that it's just a big transition for him. He was so used to having daddy all the time to himself, and now all of a sudden that exclusive time and energy and focus is now being shared, and maybe he does have a little bit of trust issues. Maybe it's just a transition. I know in the beginning, because I came into Billy's life when she was 9 and started living here when she was 10. In the beginning, almost like, and she still does this, which is funny, but a lot in the beginning, every time Kim and I would hug, you would feel a tackle from behind. Like she would come up too. Or if we took family photos, she had to be in the middle, or she had to be on the side. Again, I think it was like wanting to be included, but also wanted to make sure like daddy's not forgetting me.
Yeah, like don't forget about me.
I think still every day I do something that's just me and her, even if it is 5 minutes, just something exclusive, some talking, going for a skateboarding or whatever, and playing a little board game, Connect 4, or
But I'll say that he too is really big. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. He's really big on making sure that we do show affection in front of Billy. I mean, there are many times where we do kiss in front of her, or we're holding hands. And again, because she's 12, it's a little less now. But when she was younger, she did want to hold hands with us and walk down the street. And or we'll dance. We'll put on our wedding song or any kind of a song, and she'll we'll dance in front of her. And again, there's been times where you could tell, wanted to be included. When I first moved here, she was used to sleeping with Papa once in a while, so that was obviously a change. And I remember one night, it was so big, I think you spent the night at your brother's or something, and Billy slept with me, because it was either going to be two of us alone in our bedroom, or it was like, and I remember, like, Caitlin, some of your memories or the moments you're having right now, it like gives me memories of like, I remember the first time Billy grabbed my hand, or I remember the first time like we were next to each other on the couch and our like legs touched and she didn't move it, or like the time that she slept with me all throughout the night. Now we didn't cuddle, but it was like, wow, we shared a bed. And that was when she first heard I was moving over from the US and becoming her stepmom. Like those are the things that her and her mom were kind of really freaked out about, like this foreign woman in their home, it's like, so it's probably an adjustment just for Matthias, I would imagine. And I mean, my 2 cents would be to back up what Angela and what Justin said, and just have it be like that progression of including him as much as you can, seeking him out, maybe even yourself seek ways you can show him affection separately of daddy too. Like it can be too that maybe Matthias is trying to figure out how he fits in your life too, like only important to you because of daddy, or like finding a way that I'm speaking from my own experience. Like there's been nights where like I would massage Billy's feet on the couch and like Kim was working somewhere, or he was out playing basketball, or like we had our moments too where we tried to find that intimacy over time. But then of course, when daddy's there too, we included him, but then we made sure there were or her, and then we made sure there were times that we didn't include her, and maybe intentionally, just to be like, okay,
gradually
like
building up.
this is a unit, we are married, and it doesn't mean you're being replaced, but this is sacred and this is new and different for you, especially because like with Matthias, he probably doesn't remember his parents together.
Yeah, no, that's all really good. And I think that really affirms also like what we've been trying to do. Because I think at the beginning I was like, well, I don't want to be too like pushy with affection if he's not ready. But that's like with our besito sandwiches. That was like our
Nice.
segue.
Yeah.
Besitos.
We just like everyone gets a kiss on the cheek and a hug, and this is like, he's crazy about it. Like he cannot have this too many times a day. Like he wants it all the time. And like if we forgot it, he even today he listed the morning besito sandwich, there's after lunch besito sandwich, there's outside besito, like like, it's such an interesting thing because he truly shows that he's like crazy about the three of us. Like, I think that's very rare actually, that he's like so excited about the three of us. Like, he's lately, his thing is like calling us Mr. and Mrs. and Junior, like by our last name, by our last
Cute.
like, even today he said it like, just with me, like just one-on-one, like, okay, Mrs. Monero. And I was like, where is this coming?
Cool.
So I mean, that's kind of what I've been trying to do, is like, if I, you know, rub Luis's shoulders, I touch his shoulders too, or just that he feels included. And yeah, like you said, he might grow out of it, but there is probably, like, you know, always going to be that bond that they'll have, and that's good. I don't want to take that away. And, you know, the strides that we've also seen, like when we first moved in this apartment, he wouldn't leave us alone. He followed us actually everywhere that we went. If we were both in the kitchen, he was just like standing like
Of course.
and now he's like freely playing in the other room if we're cooking dinner, or like before I would say, do you want to do this with me? And like he wouldn't do it unless his dad was there. And then like today he made cookies with me, like just the two of us. So, but that's kind of where we're like, okay, he seems like very happy. It doesn't seem like it's a anti-family thing. It's more, I guess, just his personal, like what you said, Kim, like just wanting to make sure that he feel like
Reassuring.
And we know like a big part of it too is that like even just the idea at first that we were together when he wasn't here was hard for him to accept. And now he knows that like when he's at his mom's, we're together. Yeah. So no, but I mean, thank you. I didn't mean to make that go longer than the call, but that definitely, it's kind of like reassuring just to hear that it's probably like a very typical thing.
Yeah. I think typical, and also Caitlin, you'll hear probably from every mom, because I know I certainly do a lot these days, is people continually say to me, it's a season and you will miss it when it's gone. You know, it's those things that drive you crazy when your kids are young or immature or overbearing or over the top that doesn't last forever. And there probably will be times when he gets older that you wish he demanded 27 besito sandwiches, you know? So just enjoy it. I would say just enjoy it while it is. You may have to share your husband a little bit more physically, or his attention more now, but eventually I feel like Matthias will see you guys as like these three musketeers, and we'll see you guys like as this strong family unit, and he'll be okay. I think it's just a season that he's going and growing through, and you guys are doing really great, I think, already at helping him through it.
Totally.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
I do remember as a kid when I had to go to bed, I was always thinking that I was missing out because that's when all the grown-ups and adults would have most fun.
They're just like sleeping. Like,
but then you grew up and saw, oh wow, that's just when parents are trying to like
parents just fall asleep on the couch.
Yeah, exactly. Amen to that.
Thank you very much, man.
Yes. Well, thank you guys for another fantastic call. I think 2 hours again just blew on by, and you know, we get so much out of these evenings, and we love getting to talk with you guys. And we just thank you so much for your time and for showing up again. And we look forward to taking you guys through this next week as we launch into our culture week. And it may be the last of the lessons, but it's by far not the last of us. We're just going to keep going on with these lives and Q&As and asking questions and growing through it all together. So
May they never stop.
That's right.
Just you okay, buddy?
Good. Huh?
Are you okay? You're like
going strong.
He looks tired. He's in the bed.
I was gonna say, it looks like he's gonna fall asleep on my shoulder here. Yeah. Hold me, baby. Hold me.
Been a long week, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. A long week, but a good note to end on here for sure.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very, very interesting.
Very much. Well, guys, don't be a stranger. Again, our WhatsApp groups, Justin, download that app. And yes, I'm going to Remind you again, be like that broken record on there.
Wait, what? First on Facebook and now on
I
WhatsApp, and what's
know,
next?
right?
Instagram or
Totally.
something, and then Snapchat, and then
Woo! I'm impressed. You know
we'll
all
be
those.
chilling on
Chilling.
on social.
You guys can create your own version of chill.
Yeah.
There you go. What it means to chill as a dad. A remote. No.
Beer and football.
There you go. Amen. Amen. Awesome. Once you get that, yeah, download it. If you, Angela, I know you can hook him up with our number, or I'll hook him up with Kim's number. We'll get you guys in that group, and then yeah, we'll keep us all updated in the Facebook group. But never hesitate to reach out. Never hesitate to say anything. We're here for you guys with your families, and yeah, we hope you guys all have a great weekend. Rest of your weekend.
And pat each other on the booty some more.
That if there's anything you learned from tonight, please do that more.
Good advice.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
I love it. Send our love to Luis tonight, okay? Give him a besito sandwich from you. Awesome. Love it. Have a beautiful afternoon and evening, guys.
You too.
Perfect. Thanks.
La próxima.